Welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Alright, we're going to go over the live feeds today. This is only today's live feeds. There is a lot going on. The BB house has turned into a shit show, and I wanted to jump on here, let you guys know what's going on. Right now the feeds are down, so I wanted to take this opportunity to let y'all know what has transpired today. It started first thing this morning, so stick around. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. Can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Alright, first thing this morning, Michael, Brittany, Monty, and Taylor go up to the have-not room. I think this is probably the earliest I've seen Taylor out of bed. Everybody was still asleep. They wanted to take this opportunity to start their conversations. So, Terrence was awake. He was working out. They go up to the have-not room. You see all of them go in, and the feed's cut. We went back to watching Turner sleep for an hour until some other people started getting up. They did not show the conversation between Michael and Brittany and Taylor and Monty. So I thought, great. We're not going to get to hear any of this. The feeds are going to be off and on all day. I was wrong. That was the only conversation they didn't show. While they're up there, Kyle wakes up and he goes in to talk to Terrence. And he's like, where's everybody at? And Terrence said Monty and Taylor and Brittany and Michael went up to the have-not room. And Kyle's like, what? Are you serious? That's it. I don't trust him. He's got to go. Monty's going to have to be the one to be the replacement nominee. I trust you and Alyssa way more than I'll ever trust him. So he goes right into panic mode. Get Monty out. Terrence agrees and said it needs to be him and not one of us. And I knew that was going to happen. I said that Monty would be his next target if he couldn't get Michael out. And he's just using that as an excuse. Now he knows that Monty is in their group and still talking to the other side, supposedly to get information. Just like Joseph did. But he immediately went into, oh, he's got to go. He's got to be the one to go. We got to get him out. Monty comes down and Alyssa asked him where he had been. He said he was upstairs laying down. Now remember, Monty said a few weeks ago he's not a good liar. That's why he didn't engage with Daniel when Daniel exploded on him. Because everything that Daniel was saying was true, but Monty couldn't sit there and deny any of it because he knew that that would be lying, and he's just not good at it. So that's an instance right there. He's not good at lying. Kyle's done been up there. Alyssa's done been up there. Terrence has done been up there. They know he wasn't up in the tiki room. They know they were all in the have-not room. Monty comes down. Kyle asks him, what were y'all talking about? What were they doing? And Monty tells him they're just trying to come up with a plan to keep Taylor. That's all it is. No big deal. Monty tells Kyle the best bet would be put Terrence up. Kyle shook his head. I was like, no. And Monty said, what? He won't put Terrence up? He said, Terrence ain't going to have that man. He said, neither is Alyssa. And Monty said, well, nobody likes going on the block. He said, I did it last week for the Alliance. Somebody's got to do it. And Kyle's whole demeanor has changed to Monty. Last night they were all good. They were bros. They were in the pound, all this stuff. And you can see that Kyle's pissed off. It's all over his body language. As soon as the conversation concluded upstairs, Monty was downstairs maybe 5 minutes. And they called him into the DR. And when they call him into the DR, he's standing there talking to Taylor. She's got a wrap on her head from the night. She just woke up. She's still in her pajamas. She's got sunshades on. No makeup, nothing. And they call Monty into the DR, and she looks in the mirror, and she turns around. She looks at Monty, and she said, well, you know what? I'll probably just take my black ass in there just like this. Loud. I mean, she didn't yell, but she was talking where it could be heard. They cut the feeds anytime, like I said, they were cutting the feeds anytime anybody talked about it first thing in the morning. And I expected it to be that way all day. Taylor and Monty are acting cool, like nothing has happened. Kyle's questioning them about what the conversation was upstairs and why they were up there. And I think it was more or less not him questioning them about what was said, but letting them know, hey, I saw that. I know that y'all were up there in the have-not room. Kind of like a warning of sorts. The next conversation is between Michael, Brittany, and Alyssa. Now, they showed this conversation in its entirety, which I'm glad, because now we know what's being said. But why didn't they show the conversation with Taylor and Monty? Did they think they were going to overreact? Why not show us? I was so pissed. I don't get it. CBS, you've got a disclaimer on there that says the house guests' opinions are those of them, their own. That's not our opinions, but that's the house guest opinion. Let it be shown. Quit protecting people. I'm fired up. It has been a day from hell. It's literally right now 8:30 at night, and I just got caught up with the feeds, and the feeds have been down 2 hours. So there was a lot of conversations going on. All right, back to Michael, Brittany, and Alyssa. They start with the formation of the leftovers, how it came to be. They talk about Kyle not wanting to use the veto to send her home. The first time that he had the veto, when him and Daniel got it, they told her that he didn't want to use the veto. He wanted her to go home. He said it would be better for his game. They go through the whole formation of the leftovers. They answer her questions about Kyle. They go through all of that. Then they say that Kyle was talking about all the people of colors, the POCs, working together and saying that all the white people needed to stick together. And I can't believe they actually showed it, because I thought with the feeds cutting in and out like that, they weren't going to show any of these conversations. Alyssa says she never heard him talk like that, and that's not something she would have been a part of. And they said, you know, we know that. We're not lumping you in with him, but we're letting you know what's going on. And there was one time that he had a conversation. He mentioned it to Alyssa. It was early on. It was right after, was it right after Nicole? It was right after Nicole left. And he was whispering so low that I couldn't make out everything he was saying. And she was half asleep. He was sitting on the side of her bed. He woke her up. Said something about diversity and not being able to fight that. Something to that effect. So he's had some type of conversation with Alyssa about thinking that there was another cookout for me. But I don't know how in depth he got. Like I said, it was very hard to hear, number one. It wasn't very long. And Alyssa was half asleep. So she may not even remember the conversation. She asked if they were going to talk to Kyle. And if that's what they were talking to Monty and Taylor about. Now, these conversations have lasted about 2 hours apiece. So there's a lot more in there, but it was mostly game talk stuff that we already know what Kyle's been doing behind the scenes. So she asked if they were going to talk to Kyle about it. And Michael said, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to talk to Turner about all this and try to get Kyle on the block and sent home this week. I want him out of this house. And he said, if it F's up my game, so be it. I'm over it. He said, but it was before Dyer Fest, and they were thinking maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe they don't have to address it. I don't necessarily think that's why they didn't address it at the time, but that's what their story is. That they thought, well, maybe he won't come back, and we just won't have to go over it. He said, but he's back, and this has weighed heavy on our minds for a couple of weeks. Alyssa starts crying and says she doesn't want to be a part of anything like that. She says she's going to keep the conversation close to her heart, that she really needs to think about everything, and that she's not going to tell Kyle anything that they talked about. Now, while they're in there talking, Kyle is in the HOH room with Turner. And they're talking about Michael and Brittany. And Kyle tells him that he questioned Brittany about what they were talking to Monty and Taylor about. And he said, Kyle tells Turner that he called Brittany out for being upstairs with everyone. And he said, own it. If you're going to be sketchy, just own it. He's one to talk about being sketchy. Kyle goes in and talks to Terrence. And he's so arrogant about Michael and Brittany and Taylor. It's like all of a sudden, he's better at everything than they are. He can't say he's better than Michael at anything. But you'll see this, and we've seen it all season long. He can be perfectly fine with somebody, but when it's their turn to go up on the block, he doesn't have any good thing to say about them. It's all negative. He tells Terrence and Turner about Monty being up in the room. He says he can't trust him. He said, yeah, I know he's a number for us, but I trust Alyssa and Terrence more, and Monty needs to be the one going up on the block. And Turner said, well, I would like to have that discussion with everyone, and if that's how it turns out, that's fine, but I would like to be able to have a conversation with him before I even think about putting him up on the block. And then Kyle says again, I can't stand them. He's talking about Michael and Brittany. And they're making fun. Terrence leaves the room. And Turner and Kyle are talking about Michael and Brittany again. They're making fun of Alyssa because of her getting upset last night. Told you all about the argument between her and Kyle. So they're laughing at Alyssa, saying that she's emotional. And Kyle says, you know, I just told her to quit what she was doing. And she got mad. And she's so emotional. And Kyle said, I literally told her to calm down when she was acting like a 12-year-old. And she has to be aware of that. It all started over something in the bathroom where she was playing around with Kyle, hitting him with a hanger, or pulling his foot with a hanger, or some bullshit. And he told her that she needed to calm down, that it was late at night. But she was doing it in front of Monty. So I guess he's still trying to do this how we're not in a showman's deal. Like everybody in the world doesn't know that. So they make fun of her about that. Turner and Kyle talk, and they say that they don't trust Monty as much as they trust the other two. Kyle said we can't put up Terrence because he can spill everything that went on outside, and we don't want that. So we cannot in no shape or form put Terrence on the block this week. And Kyle said, dude, I can't even look at Michael and Brittany without wanting to flip out on them. And Turner said, I know, they're annoying. And Kyle said, I can't stand them. He says that Brittany and Michael told him that they wouldn't tell Alyssa anything, and that if they decided to tell Alyssa anything about the leftovers, that they would make sure that he was in the room. And they didn't do that. So that's what Kyle's pissy about. He doesn't know yet. And Kyle said Alyssa basically forced the information out of Brittany by making Brittany feel so bad about lying to her. And she said, I don't think that was a good game move on Alyssa's part, but Alyssa did force it out of Brittany. They were talking about past players or whatever, emotional players. And Turner said, Jasmine with the power is something I never want to see again. And Kyle says, Taylor with the power is something I never want to see again. Turner said, Brittany is so annoying. She's bad at everything. It's just like, why are you here? Now, Thursday and Friday, he told her that she was the first one that ever talked game to him, telling everybody she's the sweetest person on earth. And 2 days later, you can't stand her? What the hell has happened in that house? They say that she's getting dragged along, and she's only going to win second place. And if that's how your game is, if you want to be dragged to the end to win second, go ahead. But that's not how they would play the game. And then it pans back down to the bathroom where Taylor and Brittany are talking. And Brittany asked her how she was doing after the conversation this morning. She wanted to check in with her. And Taylor starts telling her about some of the comments that she got after she won Miss Teen USA and when she won Miss Michigan and all that. That she would get comments saying that a black girl shouldn't be Miss USA or Miss Michigan. A black girl shouldn't be a teen pageant, that she should give it to the white girl. All kinds of really, really bad negative things. And Taylor said, so I don't want to say that I'm used to it, but it's happened to me a lot in my life. And she said she doesn't want to say she's used to it, but she sees it all the time. And she's like, well, I can't do anything about it. That's your problem. That's not my problem. So it's hard to hear, and I know it goes on. I know it does. Doesn't make it right. It's ugly. It's hateful. And to see how Taylor carries herself while talking about a very, very sensitive subject, a very hurtful subject, it just made me love her that much more. She is one class act. She really is, all the way around. Alright, back to Beavis and Butthead. That's my new name for Turner and Kyle. Beavis and Butthead. Kyle said, Alyssa's having to hear how I lied to her for 5 weeks now. And she's hearing it over and over. And I know she's crying and every time she hears it. But I hope that at this point she knows that I really have her back. So they finish their conversation in the have-not room. Alyssa leaves first and she stops in the HOH room. She's laying on the bed talking to Kyle and Turner. And they come, Brittany and Michael come in. Everybody disperses. She goes back downstairs. Alyssa didn't say anything to anybody about what was said. She goes back down to her room and lays down in her, or sits down in her bed. She's drinking a cup of coffee, sitting on her bed. And Kyle comes in. And he asked her if she wanted to lay down and cuddle. Now Kyle thinks that He has her wrapped around his finger. That all he's got to do is lay in that bed and cuddle with her for a little bit and love on her for a little bit. And she forgets everything. He pretty much told Turner that much this morning. So he goes down there and he says, do you want to lay down and cuddle? And she's like, no, you can sit on the bed. I was like, what? And I won't say that she had a pissed off look, but she had a very somber look. And she said, no, you can sit on the bed. I don't want to lay down. And I was like, did she actually just tell him no? And he tells her that he's sorry about last night, that he waited for her for an hour upstairs and he was listening to her talk to Michael and he just got upset. It wasn't just Michael she was talking to. It was Michael, Brittany, and Turner. But he's focusing on Michael. And she was like, okay. She didn't say she was sorry. Saying that she's like, okay. And Kyle asked her about the conversation that she had with Michael and Brittany. And she's keeping that conversation very close to her heart. I was surprised. I think it really was like, whoa, I want no flipping part of that. Because it's a whole new Alyssa. So he asked her about the conversation. And she tells him that she just needs some space today. She said, I need to be alone. I need to process it, everything. And he said, well, maybe we can hang out later. And she said, look, Kyle, even at home, there's days when my mental health is the only thing that I can help myself is if I just check out and be alone. And my battery's dead and I just need to be alone. And Kyle's like, okay, but, I just want to, you think if the roles were reversed that you just want to be here with me and comfort me and that's what I want to do for you and I really don't want to leave you in here. She's basically telling him, get the hell out of my room. And she tells him, she said, I just want to be alone, that she's struggling with everything and that she'll probably go talk to the therapist upstairs. He tells her again that he doesn't want to leave her, that he just wants to hold her, he wants to comfort her. And she says, I can't do this right now, Kyle. She said, I just want to be alone. So then he leaves the room. And she spent most of the day in her bed. She just was not feeling it. The next conversation we see is between Michael and Turner. And when Michael goes in, he locks the door, number one, and tells Turner, I don't want to be interrupted. And Turner's like, okay. He's like, I have something I need to talk to you about, and it's very uncomfortable, and you're going to be very uncomfortable, but we need to have this discussion. And Turner's like, okay. So Michael tells Turner everything. And Turner said, that's uncomfortable. And I don't like my name being brought into it. And like I said, I'm not going to go over the conversation again that they had the same conversation with everybody. It was a 2-hour conversation. Turner says that he still wants Taylor out, that she's not good for his game, that he saved her, and that she repaid him by saying that him and Kyle would be the first ones out of the 7. And that she's just not good for his game if she's talking about coming after him. And he asked Michael and Brittany if they were okay for that. Miss Brittany came in halfway in the conversation. So he asked them if they were okay with that. And Michael said, well, I'm never really okay with one of the people that I'm closest to going home. He said, and honestly, I'm not going to be okay with anything other than Kyle going on the block and going home this week. but it's your HOH. You do what you have to do. But this is how it looks, and this is what needs to be done. And frickin' Terrence. Oh my God. So I guess earlier, Monty tried to tell Terrence what was going on. But Monty was sitting on his bed. Terrence was on his bed on the other side of the room. And Terrence didn't ask any questions to clarify what Monty was saying. Monty's telling him everything. Monty leaves the room. Kyle comes in. And Kyle said, what was he talking about? And Terrence said, I don't know. I'm still trying to process it, to figure it out. I really couldn't hear everything he was saying because he was over there whispering and I couldn't make out some of it. So I'm still processing it. He's like, something about them thinking that there's an all-black alliance. And so they're starting an all-white alliance. And Kyle said, who? And you could just see the color drain out of his face. And Terrence said, Michael and Brittany's. I really don't know what's going on. Well, about that time, Monty comes back in the room and Kyle books it. He leaves the room. So Terrence says, Monty said, did you tell him? And he's like, well, no, I told him, I really couldn't make out what all you were saying. And I thought you were saying something about Michael and Brittany making an all-white alliance. And I told him that much. And Monty was like, no, dude. He's like, no, he's the one trying to make an all-white alliance to combat the all-black alliance. And you could just see the oh shit look on Terrence's face. I'm screaming at my monitor. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, Terrence? The one time you need to keep your damn mouth shut and you can't. So Kyle gets an inkling of what's going on. So while Monty and Terrence are talking, he's like, dude, this all makes sense now. Monty said, well, you know, everything that happened out in the backyard made no sense to us. The stuff he was saying made no sense to us. And Terrence said, dude, when we went out there, he was the very first one that came up to me and spilled everything. He's the one that told me about the alliance. He's the one that did all of this stuff. And Monty's like, I thought so. I had a feeling that that's exactly what happened because I couldn't see Joseph doing that. So now not only do they know the racist stuff that Kyle said, they also know that he's the one that blew up the alliance to Terrence and got Joseph out on lies. Kyle tries to go up to the HOH room. Michael and Brittany are still in there with Turner. The door's locked. Turner goes to open the door and says, man, can you give us a few minutes? I'll let you know when you can come up. So he goes back downstairs and Monty and Terrence are in their room talking with the door shut. Taylor is in the DR and he's noticed that Monty was in the DR for 2 hours, then Taylor was in the DR for 2 hours. So he knows something's going on. So he goes in and wakes Alyssa up. She is out in her bed. So he goes in there and he wakes her up. And he said, can you chat with me? I feel so alone. I don't know what's going on. And he told where everybody in the house was at. And he says, I just don't know what's going on. I have a bad feeling. And he said, what do you think that they're talking about? What do you think they're telling him? And she says, I don't know, Kyle. I don't know. And he said, did they talk to you at all about me talking about splitting from the leftovers with you and Turner? And it's like he knows. You can see the look on his face. He knows that hell is about to rain down on his ass. Alyssa tells him yes. He said, is there anything new that came up? And you can tell she's struggling with what to say and how to say it. And like I said, she's half asleep. She just woke up. So she struggles with it for a few minutes. And she said, I just don't know if it's my place to tell you that right now. And he says, Alyssa, please tell me what's going on. What is going on? She said, they made it sound like you were not giving some people in the house a fair shot at working with you and working against them, like Monty, Taylor, and Joseph, because they could have formed a cookout or something. Like I said, he had a similar conversation with Alyssa. She's acting like she doesn't recall it. She may not. She was half asleep. And he was talking very low. Kyle said, so a race thing? They're saying it's a race thing? And he says, Alyssa, this is bigger than the game. If that's what they're pitching, this is my life. He says, if this is what they're saying, I'll leave the game. If this is what they're saying, I'm walking out the door. I will leave the game. This will ruin my life. I can't believe that they're using this to pitch to keep Taylor safe. And he said, he's never done this. And if that's what they're pitching, do you believe me, right? You believe me that I didn't do this. And she says, Kyle, at this point, I don't know what to believe. My head is in shambles. I told you I was overwhelmed. I just don't know what to think. And he said, what should I do? And she said, go upstairs and talk to Michael and Brittany and Turner. If you're that concerned about it, go in and find out what's going on. And then he tells on himself, because he said, they're saying that I wanted to start an all-white alliance. That's not what Alyssa just said to him. But yet, that's what he comes out of his mouth. You were wanting to start an all-white alliance. Even if by giving him the most grace in the world, even if he didn't think of it that way, it's still an all-white alliance. Period. One of the things that Michael and them were telling everyone was that one of the nights he was tried to talk to Michael about it, he said, as a straight white male, I'm screwed if they form the Cookout 2.0. That made Turner feel uncomfortable, and he's like, well, number one, I'm not straight, so... But anyway, so there's... What Michael and Brittany are saying is true, and it happened on several different occasions. He said different things, and at first I kept trying to say no, he didn't mean it that way. But going back and looking at it now and hearing everything he said, because we didn't get to see everything he said. They kept cutting the feeds. So some of the stuff he said to Michael came out today. And I don't see Michael making that up. That's not his gameplay. But he is going to make Kyle regret the day that he ever messed with him. I'm here for it. I want to see it. I want to see Kyle have to face everyone in that house. And then get out and face the public. Kyle leaves like he's going upstairs. And then he goes to the bathroom. Then he comes out of the bathroom, goes to the DR. They say the diary room is not available right now. That's because Taylor was in there. So he goes to the diary room upstairs and tries to get in there. And there's another announcement saying the diary room is not available right now. We'll let you know when it's available. And he speaks into his mic and he said, can you make that happen as soon as possible, like immediately? Then you hear Taylor come out of the diary room. He goes back downstairs and goes into the diary room. So right now, not one single person in that house has his back. I think Alyssa may or may not want to. I don't know. But at this point, she knows he's cooked. He's done. Stick a fork in him. He's done. Turner talks to the cameras after Michael and Brittany go back downstairs. He's pissed. He's disgusted. He hates that he aligned himself with Kyle because now that looks like he's attached to Kyle. So whatever Kyle does is going to show off on Turner. So he's upset about that. He says, you know, using my name in something like that is disgusting. And all that. So then Monty goes up there. And Monty said, you know, what do you think about, or no, Turner asked him how he was doing. And he said, are you talking about with all this Kyle stuff? And Turner said, well, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. He said, but I just want to make sure you know that Kyle and I are not a pair, that I don't think the way Kyle thinks. And Monty said, believe me, I know you don't. He said, you and I have had this discussion. We've talked about how you've backed Black Lives Matter and the things that you've done in your life. And I know that you're not that way. So Monty tells him, he's like, it's hurtful. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, he's got to go. He said, I know that he said it because he used specific things. He used the fact that Jasmine wouldn't vote out a black woman. That Monty and Amira had a final two right off the bat. And after Amira left, he told Kyle that. Nobody else knew that. And that came out. And there was something else. I don't know. Like I said, it was a long conversation. But Monty said, I know he said that stuff because he used information that nobody else but him had. So now even Alyssa is okay with him going on the block. She's talking to Turner. And Turner's like, man, if I don't do this, the whole house is coming after me. He's like, I want to distance myself as far away from him as I can get. He shouldn't have been stupid. He's going on the block. And Melissa said, I understand that. You know, you've got to do what you got to do. So, for the last, 2 hours, Kyle has been in the diary room. Up until filming this video about 20 minutes ago, we still had pets on the screen. The feeds are down. It may be just wishful thinking that maybe he's self-evicting because he did say he was going to. He said, if that's what's going on in this house, I'm leaving. I will evict myself. And we've not seen him emerge back from the diary room. And the feeds went down. And they don't normally go down on Sunday night. Even when there's a show. They don't take them down unless it's a live show now. I'm thinking that maybe he's self-evicted. Several things that means. Michael's a hero for one. That's a joke, people. It's a joke. This is so much bigger than the game. Because for so long, CBS has hidden stuff like this. Anytime there's an uncomfortable house guest, I don't even say uncomfortable, but maybe a problematic house guest, whether it's due to race, whether it's due to sexual orientation, whether it's due to religion. You've had people over the last 24 years that are just not good people at heart. And CBS tends to try to protect that. Like I said earlier, they have a disclaimer. Why not just let the people see their true colors? To see exactly who and what they are. So, we got a dose of that today. We got a dose of reality. And if Kyle leads the game, I think that's much bigger as far as saying, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. Like I said, it has been a busy, busy day. So, is Kyle self-evicting? We still don't know because the feeds are down. If he doesn't self-evict, he's going to be on the block and he's going to be voted out come Thursday night. I see him self-evicting because I think he's a coward. And I think he's not going to want to be in the same house with Monty and Terrence and Taylor. And the rest of the house guests, who all now know what he's been doing behind the scenes. So I have a feeling that he's going to self-evict. He's not going to go back in the house. We shall see. That's my personal opinion. But the same thing, you know, when Paloma self-evicted, I was like, why am I not seeing Paloma on the feeds? Wait a minute. Why am I not seeing Paloma anywhere? And I'm going from room to room looking for Paloma. So it's just a feeling that I have. I think he's gone. I think he will be out of the Big Brother house today. I don't know what that's going to do for the eviction. I don't know if they'll cancel the eviction because it's so early. I don't know if maybe they're trying to talk Kyle into staying. I don't know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. It has been a whirlwind of a day. It is not over. I'm still waiting on the feeds to come back on. So I'll probably still have another video tomorrow as usual. This is an extra. So you guys have a great night. I'm going to get back to the feeds. And as always, much love.